Number 20. Read paragraph 9 from the excerpt. A moment of useless screaming, running, trying to attract one's attention, a sickening sense of terror and failure, and the last car slatted itself past with a mocking clatter as if it enjoyed her discomfort. The imagery in this sentence conveys... So what is the imagery in this sentence? And I probably want to look at paragraph 9 to get a sense of what's going on around it as well. So the imagery here is we have a sickening sense of terror and failure. This is a lot more pronounced than the confusion we saw earlier. And the last car slatting itself past with a mocking clatter. So she's sickened. The train's mocking her. She's actually feeling terror here. Let's just check paragraph 9. Okay, paragraph 8. She experiences the horror of being deserted. Helped the girl to rise in spite of bruises and shock. She lifted and implored her hands to unresponsive cars. They hurried by her. 1, 2, 3, bright windows, each showing a passenger comfortable and safe, unconscious of her need. 9. The lines in question. Well, that's the entire paragraph. A moment of useless screaming, running, trying to call one's attention. And then 10, Margaret stood dazed, reaching out helpless hands, then dropped them at her sides. So it looks like she gave up there finally. Okay, so let's go with what we already assessed. It's sickening, terror, the train's mocking her. Let's look at E. Growing irritation that Margaret feels as she is ignored by the people on the train. Well, hold on. She feels terror. She feels failure. Nowhere does it say she's irritated or have words that suggest irritation. E does not look correct. F. Effort Margaret is making despite being physically unable to keep up with the train. Well, here at the beginning, she's making some effort, it looks like, right? So is that what this imagery is trying to show or convey? Perhaps. I'm not going to cross that out yet. G. Anger that Margaret is experiencing as she watches the train leave without her. Again, that's kind of the same as irritation. By the way, since they're both the same, they're both probably wrong. There can only be one right answer on a multiple choice exam. She's not feeling anger. None of the words here suggest anger. Terror is strong, but it's not anger, right? So H, vulnerability, Margaret feels as the train leaves her behind. Well, she's for a moment screaming, running, and then she feels sick with a sense of terror, failure. She's being mocked by the train. That suggests she's vulnerable. I think the correct answer here is the imagery is presenting her vulnerability, that she can't actually solve the problem, and now she's in terror and the train is mocking her and leaving her, right? That's more the main idea here than simply F, that she's making some effort. It does say she's making some effort at the beginning, but that's useless effort, and that's not the core idea that the imagery is trying to convey here. The paragraph is about her vulnerability. H is the correct answer for 20. 21. How does Margaret's experience in paragraph 9 emphasize a theme of the excerpt? So paragraph 9, all right, so this was the entirety of paragraph 9, and she started in 8, getting up and chasing, going after the train to see if anybody would see her, and after a moment, she realized that well, in a moment, let's be careful of the text. It says she's in terror and she failed and the train's mocking her. Then in paragraph 10, it says she gave up. So A, it confirms Margaret's understanding she cannot rely on help from anyone else. Perhaps. A moment of useless screaming. It slatted past, mocking her, enjoying her discomfort. It might suggest she can't understand or rely on help from anyone else. Well, yeah, she's chasing the train and it's useless. She thinks she can make a difference, if we think about it, but she can't make a difference. The train leaves without her. So actually, as I think about it a little more, A looks okay. B, it leads Margaret to realize that her efforts to change her situation are ineffective. Well, again, that's a similar idea. her efforts, her screaming are useless, and she can't change her situation. But does she realize that here in paragraph 9? As we said, she kind of gives up in 10. So that's kind of what happens in 10, that she realizes it. In A, the difference between A and B specifically is that she believes she cannot rely on help from anyone else. In other words, nobody in the train is going to help her. That she sees. But she doesn't realize that her situation is completely ineffective or useless. She can't change it until paragraph 10. So I don't think B is correct. B looks a lot like A at first blush, but it is different. C, it causes Margaret to believe that her own actions led to an unfavorable outcome. No, I don't think so. Again, she doesn't realize or give up until 10, so she doesn't realize that on her own. And I don't think at any point she blames herself for her actions. So that doesn't seem to be correct or supported by the text. D, it reinforces Margaret's frustration about her lack of control over her surroundings. So again, this is the entire paragraph right here. We know she felt frustration earlier. She wasn't helped off the train. She was confused. She's not frustrated here. She's actually sickened. She feels terror and failure. That's a bit extreme or well beyond frustration. Frustration is not the right word. It's not the correct feeling that's presented in this paragraph 9. So I'm coming back to A is the correct answer. It confirms Margaret's understanding that she cannot rely on help from anyone else. Why? Because she tries to get somebody's attention. She cannot get somebody's attention. That just restates what happens in the paragraph. A is the correct answer for 21. It's a difficult problem, kind of like 18.